I got a few more questions because you're giving us a lot of time. Thank you. Would you use force against Texas if they tried to secede over the border issue? Because I remember in 2010 you said U.S. states should have the right to secede. Do you still believe that?
I believe in states' rights. Okay. I believe that everything should be as close to the people to decide. Mm-hmm. We know that's not going to happen. If Biden's saying, no, cut that fence, I mean, a state has the ability to do these things because states' rights do matter.
No, Nikki Haley is actually dead wrong. They don't have that right. That's what that whole Supreme Court decision was about. See, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, not as everyone is entitled for their opinions to be law. So like you say they have the right, the Supreme Court says they don't. Unfortunately, they win, Nikki Haley. That's just kind of the way that it goes. But Nikki Haley is wrong about far more and more significant than just that. Watch this.
Would you use force against Texas if they ever try to secede?
Use force against them?
Yeah.
No, we don't ever use force against our own Americans.
Okay. I guess I don't mean like military or anything like that. I'm just talking about like, would you be strong against them doing that?
I mean, I think, states are going to make decisions, but let's talk about what's reality. Mm-hmm. Texas isn't going to secede. I mean, that's not something that they're going to do.
So why did you say you believe in that in 2010?
What was the context of it?
I think you said you believe that states have the right to secede. That's what you said.
Do you believe that the states of the United States have the right to secede from the Union?
I think that they do. I mean, the Constitution says that.
I think states have the right to make the decisions that their people want to make. If Texas decides they want to do that, they can do that.
Mm-hmm.
No, they can't. Again, like everybody loves their own opinion. I love my opinions. I love my opinions so much. I have a YouTube page where I just say them all the time. But that doesn't make my opinion law, and yours isn't either. They don't actually have that right. And again, the Supreme Court has directly weighed in on this. Back in Texas v. White, they held that states cannot secede from the union by an act of the state. That's not how it works. More recently in 2006, Antonin Scalia on the Supreme Court, remember how much they loved him, stated if there was any constitutional issue resolved by the Civil War, it is that there is no right to secede. And the majority wrote, the Constitution in all its provisions looks to an indestructible union composed of indestructible states. When Texas became one of the United States, she entered into an indissoluble relationship. That's the Supreme Court. If you want to change that, feel free to amend the Constitution. But Texas does not get to just have a hissy fit and secede from the union because they want to put up concertina wire. I also have one point that was on the Breakfast Club, obviously. When he says, would you use force? And then he says, well, I don't mean the military. Well, what do you mean then? Like, that's what force is. Now, I understand you don't want to seem like you're calling for it and that nobody thinks that he is, but that's definitely what that means. And theoretically, seceding, which just means effectively like trying to break your compact with the Constitution, would probably necessitate some sort of conflict because again, you can't just do that. Now, Yaz, you live in Texas, which could potentially become its own state or its own country, I suppose. What do you make of this?
Yeah, so I do live in Texas. As you know, I moved here. I think it was like the year 2000 that I moved here, right? So 23, 24 years ago. That is a thing that people in Texas love to say, right? People love to say, oh, well, Texas is the only state that can secede. We're the only state that was our own country. And that's why it is a point of Texas pride around here. And it is just wrong. It's just not real. And I know this because when I moved to Texas, people kept saying that. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. And then when I got older, when I was in high school or something, I looked it up, and it's so easy to just fact check that one little bit, but it's so anecdotal around here that everyone just assumes that it's real, that it's an actual thing. Nikki Haley is not from Texas, so I don't know where she's getting any of this from. She's from South Carolina. So she's not subject to just hearing it all the time as we are here in Texas. But that court case or that court decision that you cited, Texas v. White, that's been in place since like the Civil War era. I think it was in the 1860s. So it's been around for a while. It's been on the books. It's nothing new. It's not like it just happened last year, So yeah. It's just wrong. That's it.
100%. What she knows, look, we can debate whether she actually knows about that. I mean, she's had like 150 years to read that decision. It doesn't seem like she's gonna get around to it. But what she knows is that as a Republican who wants to become president, she's supposed to imply that states' rights are the most important thing. Wink, wink, I'm not saying anything. Just states' rights are great. And yeah, you can just leave if you want to. By the way, if she became president, do you think she would be cool with states just pulling out? Oh, California, I guess. they could just leave, I suppose. New York, New York and I guess Pennsylvania and Connecticut, I suppose, they can just make their own thing. She doesn't actually believe that. She is trying to placate radical right-wingers in her base, and with a side order of racism as well. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.